Evening.
Hello, everyone.
I do love that tiara.
Thank you.
It's so pretty.
It's
It reminds me of like what a mermaid or a siren would wear.
Yes, but I have a siren one. Hang on, let me fetch it.
Oh, okay. The tiaras are coming out to play.
Yeah, this one. Let me exchange it. This one is going to be.
Oh yes.
Oh, hello. Look at that.
Mermaid vibes.
Yes.
That's so pretty.
Your girls must have so much fun playing with the tiaras.
They do. They come and fetch the tiaras and then they disappear with them and then they bring them back.
As long as they bring them back, right?
Yeah. This could pass for Celtic vibes.
Yes. Yes, it could.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. A bit of a siren going on there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I have a funny story to tell you about this one. Hang on. Before I put that one on, let me put this one on. This is like very springy.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, that's cool. That reminds me of like forest,
like
elven. Yeah.
So this one, I have a very funny story to say about this one. I was channeling my Regency with this, and I was wearing it, and I was writing. And David had gone away for golf, and the girls were girling. So I mean, they were coloring in, and then they were building puzzles, and then they were building forts, and then I don't know what everything else was, but my house was a mess. And Tonic decided to bring me a present, which he half ate. And I was like, I'll deal with all of that once I've finished writing. But alas, David came home before I had done that, and he had a bit of a wobble when he came into the house that I stopped mid-sentence and I rose with this tiara on my head. And I went to him and I said, you come from a long line of peasants. You will be grateful for the house that you will share with me. You have two options. Option one, we continue with this argument. Option two, you may walk yourself out and re-enter and we can try again. Of which obviously he chose option two. So
oh, that's such a great story.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing how we can, how different things can make us feel different and take us out of moods and, like make things even stronger?
100%. But now his joke is that whenever we have an argument and I go put one of my tiaras on, he can't take me seriously.
Yeah. I get that.
And then I'm like, I'm big and strong and tough. Fight with me. And he's like, no.
Oh man.
Oh, that's so awesome. But thank you guys for joining. As you've just seen, this is a type of conversations we love to have, because it's kind of behind the scenes of an author and getting into real raw truth. You know what I mean? It's not just the book, it's about the person writing the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're all here to join us tonight to celebrate Shavonne's amazing achievement of, first of all, writing a tandem book. I think that's a whole big achievement on its own. Besides just writing a book, writing a tandem, I think is very intricate work. It's very brave of you to take it on. And for launching it, and I think it's a special week for you because you had your in-person launch yesterday, and now here we are tonight, and tomorrow is your birthday, right?
Yeah, it's a fun week.
And you're on leave, so all the joys.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, so these are the books I just want to show everybody since I have them for the moment, for a short while, and they are so beautiful on the inside and on the outside.
Thank you.
And I wonder how many of the ladies that are here tonight have actually read the books, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So just a little bit of housekeeping. We are going to have a Q&A a little bit later. But if you have questions while we're talking, you're welcome to pop them in the chat box. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Is it me? which is weird because
No, I think it's David. He's very loud, Mr. Cupcake, and he's on a phone call, so I'll just mute myself.
Okay, so you guys are welcome to pop any questions you might have in the chat box, comments. They are going on the website tonight because I wanted to keep them for tonight so that we actually have something to show you guys. So I will put them on. They'll be on the homepage and easy to find because there is one set available. Okay. For now, right? I'm sure Shavonne will get more printed soon.
Yeah, for now. I mean, I'm out of stock selling personally. And then I was like, no, I have to send the book. I have at least just one set of the Tandem. So I am going to do another print run, but I'm hoping I don't want to do too much because as we'll disclose later, I'm wanting to do a rebrand. So
okay. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. Right, so Shavonne, apparently you love writing about Greek mythology. And I don't know if you want to give us, most of us here are quite familiar with who you are, but just give us a little bit of background about how you started writing and why Greek mythology grabbed your attention as much as it did, because this is your 4th and 5th Greek myth retelling, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so writing or the appreciation for writing and literature came in high school with my English teacher, Mrs. Fletcher, who was quite a character. She was the drama teacher who picked up English, and my version of Macbeth and Twelfth Night and Romeo and Juliet was we didn't read set work in class. She took us to the stage and we acted it out. So, which was a brilliant form of teaching, because I mean you remember scenes so much better because you remember that your classmate tripping or your classmate pronouncing something wrong, or we decided to act out a scene in a funny way, and it kind of sat with us. But she had an immense love for literature, and I had her from grade. So how collegiate girls high school worked was the teachers that you got in grade 10 tended to be the teacher that would take you for that subject right till matric. So she was my teacher for 3 years in English, and the very first English lesson, she introduced herself as Mrs. Fletcher, and she said, "Girls, if you don't know how to structure a sentence by now, you are lost. But what I can promise you is that at the end of the 3 years with me, you will have an immense appreciation for literature." And she was the one who always pushed us to see what was more behind the sentence. She loved poetry as well. We did so much poetry. And she always pushed us to be able to express ourselves in different ways with creative writing. So she definitely had a big role in playing for appreciation of literature and creative writing. But I didn't, when it came to selecting subjects, I mean, English and Afrikaans were compulsory, as well as biology at collegiate. And then I took math, science, and accounting, which is like nothing to do with creativity. And went to study, and I studied BCom management accounting, which is also nothing to do with creativity. And it was only really after deciding to change my life around from the abusive relationship and in therapy that channeled the creative writing skill that Mrs. Fletcher taught us to express whatever I was feeling inside. And then I read that piece, The Phantom of Music was the very first piece that I wrote. And when I read that to my therapist was like, okay, well, clearly we know we found a way for you to process whatever you're needing to process. So then I leaned very heavily into that. That's how Get Out and Stay Out was formed. And then a reader read that and gave me feedback and said, because of the creative writing, I should really take a stab at rewriting that in fantasy. That's where Vengeance comes from. But after Vengeance was sort of writing the last bit of gunk that was left in me that needed to just be written out. And that then unlocked my thinking of how can I express more with the genres. And then my friend Amber, we were friends from the age of 13. When she turned 30, it was 6 years ago. My goodness, how time flies. 6 years ago, she had a very serious phone call with me. She actually posted a photo online on Facebook. And I was sitting, Lila was a tiny baby still, and I was flipping through Facebook feed, and Amber's photo came up, and I looked at this photo and I was like, my friend's not okay. And I picked up the phone. She was in Thailand at the time. And the very first, she's like, hi, Shavy, because they called me Shavy at school, or Chevy. Shavy and Chevy were the two names. And I said, Ams, what's wrong? She says, how do you know something's wrong? I was like, I've been friends with you from the age of 13. There's very little that you can say to me that I won't know. Like, what is wrong? And that's when she started sharing with me everything that was going wrong in her life. And that was the very last conversation I had with her before she decided to end things. And that obviously sat really heavily with me, because I felt like I let her down. And obviously went for therapy to deal with that. And that's when I picked up the pen again and I wrote Secrets of a Shell, which was my way of saying to her, I forgive her, I love her, and I will always be her friend no matter what. And the reason why I chose Greek mythology was, one, my grandmother had an immense love for the ancient cultures. Like ancient Egypt and ancient Greece was my grandmother's like flavor of the month, every month. And going for tea with her, she would often discuss, but Greek was her favorite, and she would often discuss Greek mythology with me. So my thing with my grandmother was Greek mythology, and my brother's thing with my grandmother was chess. She used to play chess with me. She taught my brother strategic chess. Like, my brother's a very good chess player. And Amber and I went and watched the movie Troy together when Troy came out when we were in high school. And it just felt natural to do it in mythology, because just all that time that I spent with my grandmother, being a tribute to Amber, and she loved the movie Troy and she loved the sea. Like, we were such beach bums when we were teenagers. Like, her and I were swimmers. We used to swim competitively. I was 8th in the country and she was 4th. She was a bit faster than me. So we used to train 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. And when it was between our training sessions on Saturdays, our moms used to take turns to take us to the beach. It's like, we literally swim for 3 hours, we get out the pool, we go lie on the beach all day, and then come back to the pool to swim another 3 hours.
No.
So, where girls went through clothes, we went through costumes. Like costumes didn't last. You know those normal Speedos, second skin, full piece costumes? They used to last us 3 weeks, and then they were puja. Then we had to get another one. So that combo just made sense. And then I fell in love with it. And then I found how beautiful it was to tell a story, but you also bring awareness to a certain type of trauma. And then obviously doing more research, because whatever myths that I'm wanting to write about, I obviously do a bit of research, because there's always more than one variation of it. And that's where you start uncovering that the Greeks did something very well in explaining things and passing down knowledge through story. And it just felt natural to keep doing.
No, that's actually beautiful that it's got so many threads that have come together throughout its entire life to get it. It's very special. And with the tandem specifically, what were the two different stories of? It's definitely me that's got the.
It's fine.
Please all steady. Thank you. These kids are a handful today.
It's all good.
Anyway, so the tandem with the two stories running together, what gave you the idea for that, and what made you feel like this is going to work well as two stories told concurrently?
So, Secrets of the Shell and Sight of Stone I wrote together because, as you guys, I've shared this before, that I tend to work on more than one story at a time. And Secrets of the Shell and Sight of Stone were the two stories I wrote together. And then after I wrote that, I decided it was first just going to be Helen. It was actually just Shadow Veil that I was going to do. And it came on a morning. But the more I'm researching Helen, the more I'm just like, this poor woman really got the raw end of the stick of like everything about her in history. Like no variation of the myth is her. It's all about her and what happened around her and how she was used. So, you know, for the lack of a better word, her myth, it actually tells more than one man's story, if I have to put it bluntly. And when I watched the movie Troy, which is not a true or accurate depiction of the myth at all, but just how even how she was portrayed in that movie, you know, she was like I was very irritated by the Helen movie. I was just like, oh my gosh, can you just grow up? Like, you know, just deal with your consequences. You chose this, you know, man up and deal with it. And I just felt like, sure, she's just so misrepresented. And I think people have the wrong idea of her. And it was when I was brushing my teeth one morning, and I was just, so science is another thing that intrigues me. And I was just fascinated that morning by, I was obviously excessively tired, that something like this I found very fascinating and entertaining. But the picture, the mirror image of me in the mirror as I'm brushing my teeth, it just intrigued me that it really did look like my other hand that I was busy with, and not my left hand. And that's when I was just like, you know, I'm pretty sure Helen feels like the history about her is a mirror image of her, that it's not actually the true reflection. And then I was like, wouldn't it be cool to tell a myth as a mirror? And then I was like, but then I need another, and wouldn't it be cool to flip the script of, instead of her telling men story, how would it be cool if I used men to tell her story? And then I was like, what would make it even more amazing is if one of the men was a mirror image to her. And that's when I started doing more research, and that's how I came across Hephaestus. That depending on which variation, they're stepbrother and sister. And he, as beautiful as what she is, he is the exact opposite, according to myth. There was mirror image then. And then I decided to try and weave their stories in a way that it was, the mirror image was kept throughout, but Helen was actually the center of everything.
Yeah, and it was beautifully done. I think, you know, you wouldn't be able to read the one story without reading the other one.
No.
You'd lose so much of its impact if you did it that way.
Yeah. So look, I mean, I am aware that, you know, in South Africa, 350 Rand is a lot of money for some people. I mean, that's a week's worth of food for some families. So I did write it with the heart of, you know, if someone could only afford one, that Fireforge on its own and Shadow Veil on its own would still make sense as a story, but there's certain things of the plot that you won't understand until you've read the other book.
Yeah.
But in doing it that way, what you are sacrificing is the mirror image experience of how the plot unravels itself.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. I want you to dive. I feel like you're going to be repeating a lot of what you said last night.
No, it's fine.
But obviously the way that you write is very, very specific, and it's very intentionally done. And I know that you've gotten a little bit of backlash because of it, but that's why I want to bring it up, because it's so important to understand the viewpoint of the way the prose was written. And it's something I picked up in reading as well, is even the style of the prose, though your voice is still clear in both of the stories. Helen was written with a very specific type of internal monologue, and Hephaestus was written with a very specific type of internal monologue. So I just wanted to go a little bit into why you write your Greek mythology in the style that you write it.
So Greek mythology is my genre where my exploration of trauma will always sit. So I do want to venture more into other genres. Hello, Tonic. Sorry, my problem child's come home. Yes, Tonic. Mummy's here. Hello, come say hello to everyone. Yes. This is my problem child, everyone. He's blown through 6 out of his 9 lives already, but it's fine. Other genres I want to explore more with just telling a story and enjoying the process of telling a story. But my Greek mythology is where my bringing awareness of a certain trauma will always sit, because it works so beautifully. And that's what the Greeks did. So it makes sense for it to sit there. Now, the type of trauma that I've experienced are the type of traumas that I write about, because I find I will best do justice for the awareness that I'm trying to bring by making people feel seen who have experienced the same trauma as me, and hopefully being able to allow other people to understand what that person may be going through, is if I write from traumas that I myself have experienced and lived and done some healing on. I won't ever write about a trauma that I haven't had reference to, because I don't feel I will do it justice. And I also don't have the viewpoint of being able to put that emotional weight behind it. But in doing so, because it's a trauma that I'm writing about, I'm essentially re-triggering myself in writing it. And in therapy, the type of therapy that I did was exposure therapy. And now the tactic that you are taught in exposure therapy is to, when you return to the memory, the more you return to it, the less, eventually over time, the anxiety becomes less, and then the more of the memory you understand. So the more detail you're able to recall. And that is the tactic that I use to be able to access memories that I went through, to access the emotion that I'm trying to write about. But I can't go, I still to this day, I'm not able to go back to a memory in its full detail and write in its full detail and it's over and done with and we move on. So my characters show the psychological process that a person who's actively experienced that trauma is able to process it by returning, going to the memory. There's a little bit of information, and then you move on, and then you go back a little bit back to the memory, and a bit more information is then shared, and then you move on. So that is what I reflect, is that each time a character goes back to a specific memory that is quite vital in the plot, more information is then shared. And specifically in Shadowvale and Fireforged, one of the, it's not as much as the memory loop as what Sight of Stone is. Sight of Stone is very much, that entire book is a memory loop. But Fireforged and Shadowvale, what's repetitive there is a specific sentence structure that I've used, which is an exposure therapy coping mechanism, that when you're under hypnosis and you're busy going through the trauma and the memory is causing extreme anxiety, the sentence that I had to use at that point in time was, I am not there, he is not there, I am safe, the not am. So my sentence in Fireforge, there is the not am. And then in Shadow Veil, for every one not am in Fireforge, there's 1.8 times in Shadow Veil. And the reason why it's not a full 2 is because I was trying to represent an echo. So if you stand on the mountain range and you talk, the first bounce back you hear clearly, but as the sound ricochets through the mountains, the more muffled it becomes and the less you're able to make out, but you can hear the sound. So that's what the 0.8 is reflecting, is because Helen is in the underworld. So sound traveling downwards would ricochet as it is getting to her. These are things that I think about when I write. Most people would think I'm weird for doing so. Probably am, but that's just, it's just these little things that in my world building and making the trauma part of the world building, that's the type of detail that I think about.
And it's so cool to hear that as well, because obviously I'm not going to go in and count how many times it happened myself, but yeah, as a reader, obviously, but it's really cool to hear the thinking behind it. It's very interesting to see. Helen reclaims her own identity in Shadow Veil, because obviously it's been stripped away from her, and the whole process is her reclaiming who she is. And I'm curious to know if that's something that you had to go through personally, that claiming back what others have taken away from you.
100%. So I think the trauma that I'm highlighting here is actually what a person experiences when leaving. Because when you leave, the abuser is very loud about, oh, so-and-so left and so-and-so this, and I've tried everything and woe is me, and they try to control the narrative. And you actually experience a lot of people not believing you and judging you for the decision that you've made. And in the beginning, you don't really share that information because you feel naked for doing so, so you don't. And then you start becoming, I don't know, self-aware is not the right word, but you start fighting for yourself, and you're like, actually, no, this is actually what happened, and this is the reason why I left. And I wanted to reflect that, because all my research that I did about Menelaus, he's not a nice man. He is not a nice man in myth. And it's not too far to assume that the relationship between him and Helen may have been abusive. And then things start making sense of how myths, what parts of the myths have survived over time. Because that's very true of what I've experienced from leaving an abusive relationship, of how your reputation is sort of managed by the man trying to look like he's the good guy and you're the bad guy. So it was definitely a representation of how over time I've reclaimed my voice, as Shavonne, and stood up for what I wanted, and got onto a journey where I eventually met David. And I mean, look where we are now. We're married, we have a beautiful family, we have this amazing online community of cupcakes, and none of that would have been possible if I didn't take that point in time of standing, of saying, no, you know what, my voice, yes, up until now I was fighting for my daughter and for her to have a better future. But there came a point in my fight where I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this for me, because I deserve it. And I deserve peace. And actually, this is the truth. This is actually what happened. This is how much of a shit you actually are.
That's a powerful message, I think, because a lot of women don't feel like they are worth it.
Yeah, and it's not something that happens overnight, eh?
No.
And even though I got to that point where I fought for myself and won, I mean, there are days now where, like, self-love isn't always something I get right every day. But it's something I actively try to be more consistent on.
Yeah.
And I think that's also something that I try to reflect in Helen's journey is what she thought about herself and felt about herself in the beginning versus how she thinks about herself in the end are two total different places.
No, there's definitely a deep journey there. And I think that's part of the beauty of the books is that they are so powerful, and they really are. It's the type of book that could change people's lives,
Thank you.
which is really great. But I also want to find out from you, because I know that writing about trauma, Angela and I have had this discussion many times, because obviously that's like your forte as well. But besides it being triggering for you to write about your past traumas, there's obviously that care that you have to take in not traumatizing your readers as well. And I'm curious to know if there's anything specific that you do in your writing to sort of make it more gentle for people who may have been traumatized by similar situations.
So I think for me, I think it's the rewriting. So the first time I write it, it actually comes out very raw and very blunt. And I actually let it sit, being raw and blunt. And it's also, gunk is the wrong word, but sometimes it's a lash out that happens from inside because you're having to go back to something that you didn't really want to go back to, or remembered something you don't really want to remember. So there's first a lash out that happens. But then once it's out and you give it time and you let it settle and you just let it breathe, then I'm able to panel beat it into something softer. And David's actually a wonderful soundboard because there's a lot of things that I'll read to him, and he's an incredibly sensitive man. He's incredibly sensitive in a good way. That he's a very good gauge for where he'll say to me, "No, Lovey, it's still a bit harsh," or it's he never says the word too much, but he'll say, I think your stats levels are still high when you wrote that, which is something, because he actually went to therapy with me when I started dating him. He came with, because I had an anxiety attack in front of him the one time, and he then asked, would I feel comfortable for him to come with me to therapy so he may ask my therapist how he can assist me when something like that happens again. And one of the things that he learned was when I'm under hypnosis and dealing with the anxiety, my therapist would say to me, "Where are your SATs at?" Which is your level of anxiety, and I had to say a 1, a 5, or a 10. I always had to give it a 2 out of 10, which is a type of communication that he developed. Then that when I was having anxiety attacks in front of him, he'd say to me, "What are your stats?" And then I'd say to him 8 out of 10, 7 out. So he knew how serious it was and helped me to be able to calm down from the trigger that I was experiencing. So his way to communicate to me is when I've read something to him, he'll say to me, "Lovey, how high were your stats when you wrote that?" And I'm only comfortable with it when my stats are at a 3. Then I know that it shouldn't be triggering for a reader to read, or I don't have an intention for it to trigger.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. And was that the point that you decided you were going to marry him?
Yes. The point where I actually was like, I think this is my husband, was he randomly messaged me and he asked me, we obviously had seen one another and been on a few dates at this time, but we were boyfriend and girlfriend, like he had asked me out. But he randomly messaged me on a Saturday. We weren't planning to see one another that weekend. And then he messaged me, he said, "What are you and Alexia doing?" So I said, "No, we're just at home chilling." And it was such a beautiful day. It was a beautiful summer's day. And he said, "I think, would you be keen to meet me at the beach and we can treat Alexia for an ice cream? And you can also have an ice cream if you want." And I agreed. And when I got to the beach, he had bought Alexia the most beautiful little summer dress that he went and picked out for her. And then he bought me a closest possible matching mom dress and he had a scroll where he actually took the time to sit down, because at that time I had a blog where I was putting all my creative writing pieces, and he actually spent time and read every single piece. And then his response to me was, he responded to my Phantom of Music, where he wrote me a scroll. He wrote me a piece that he put into a scroll with a red ribbon, and he titled it, "I'm Answering the Songless Lark." And it was such a beautiful day on the beach where he obviously gave us 2 dresses, and we were playing in the tidal pool, and then we went for an ice cream, and that's when he gave me the scroll, and he said to me, "You're only allowed to read it when you get home." And he took the time to answer the Phantom of Music, where I said, I feel like the songless lark that will never attract a mate because I am soundless. And how he responded me to the music, to saying, you think that you were a lark, but you were actually a nightingale. And I'm answering you as your nightingale. And that's when I was like, this man is my husband. Definitely.
Gosh.
Yeah, he's a good man.
No, I'm sure he got me having some dust in my eyes, yeah. So, sorry, it's you crying. What do you most want a reader to feel when they close the last page of the Tandem?
Empowered. I want them to feel that there isn't anything that could take away your worth to the point that you're not worthy to stand up for yourself.
And I definitely think it would hit that way.
I hope so. Like when I wrote that end, and the ending of Shadow Veil, that the end where she, that part. Yes, I don't want to give it away, but that's my favorite scene throughout the entire Tandem, is that scene. And ek het snot en trane gehuil when I wrote that. Like it's like, when you ugly cry, like you ugly cry, like the snot is running and you like the sweat is going and your eyes are puffy, and like David came running, he's like, what happened? Who died? And I'm like, no one died. I just wrote something. And then he was like, no, man, lovey, you gave me a heart attack. I thought something really was wrong. Like you hurt yourself. And I'm like, I did hurt myself. I hurt my heart. And he's like, can I make you hot chocolate? I'm like, yes, please.
Yes.
The poor man. I think I'm the reason for half of his gray hairs.
Yeah, it's like me. I'm the reason my husband's bald. It's just how all right, so I've got possibly a last question. For anyone in the audience who might be sitting with their own story while they read yours, what would you want them to know? So you can interpret that any way you like.
Your voice matters. Your voice matters, and every story has a reader out there. And there is someone that needs your story. And just get it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, just get it out. You can always panel beat it later. But I think the first step of just getting everything out in itself is you owning your voice. But secondly, it's something that someone needs to hear.
That's the truth. And that's what we're trying to shout from the mountains.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. And I think, now with the amazing community of Sire, it's a safe space to share it. To be like, this is what I've written. What do you guys think? Getting input, getting advice. Like it really is a safe space to share something that intimate.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yes.
No, definitely. I mean, you guys, the other day I was like, I I'm doing with this piece, please read it. There's something missing. And then you guys came with suggestions, and I was like, yeah.
Second pair of eyes always helps.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just, you like subconsciously you know what's missing, but sometimes you just need to hear someone say it.
100%, because it is a lonely road being an author.
Yeah.
I mean, you work full time, right? And you have a family, and you write amazing books.
Thank you.
How? Because let me tell you something. My kids are grown. It's just me and my hubby at home. And the only thing is my battle is myself, my health stuff. And I can write full time, but I could not, when I was working full time and had young kids, I could not do what you guys do. No chance.
I think it's because my writing was a coping mechanism during my healing journey. So I think it's my way of processing and switching off. Like it's become more than just processing. It's a way that my brain can actually relax. But
Same.
I do time manage very well. Like that's one thing I do very well is time management. And
I
it's
bet you block time out in calendars and you have
I do.
alarms and yeah.
No, I do. Like it's even in David's diary. Like, we support one another very much in there's family time and then there's also David time.
Yeah.
And then there's also couple time. So we balance it with family, the whole family, and then just him and myself, and then his time and me and my time. And it sounds silly, but we block it into one another's diaries because we've also got his two boys from his previous marriage. So there's another family that has to be integrated with routines and stuff. And that's the only way that we can manage it. And we respect it. So if I put in his diary that Saturday from 8 until 11, I want to write, he will be on dad duty. He will handle the kids. Sometimes he takes them out to the beach or he takes them to the forest or wherever it is. And he does his thing. Similarly, when he puts his in the diary that he wants to go play 9 holes of golf on a Saturday, then I don't write. Then I am mom, active mom. And I think it's the mutual respect for one another's space and time that allows us to do things that are for us. Because I think it's easy, especially as a mom, it's so easy to
Mom
lose
guilt.
to lose something that's yours.
And this is why I like things like this, is because you are a full-time worker. You do have a young family. You also have an integrated family, with 2 boys. And it's great for the readers to see, actually, you're a human being,
Yeah.
and it's okay to block out time for yourself. It's not selfish. It is a necessity.
100%. And you know what? Even if you don't want to block out your time to write, even if you just want to block out the time to sit under a tree and have a cup of coffee and like not interact with anyone, that's like I also sometimes do that. Some of my blockings in David's diary, I don't even write. Like I literally just go for a walk by myself and just have me time. It's for whatever my cup is needing for it to be full, because you can't give to people if your cup is empty.
Mm-mm.
You can't even give to yourself if your cup is
Exactly. 100%. 100%. So, does anybody have some fabulous questions for our queen, Shavonne? If you do, you can either put it in the comments or you can unmute yourself and ask her yourself.
We wait. I'll ask a question. Another
Go
one.
for it.
What's next for you? What can we expect next from Shavonne Bulmer?
So what is next? I need to answer that in two folds. So there's the Madam Cupcake fold, and then there's the Shavonne Bulmer author fold. So Madam Cupcake is obviously another round of Rising Voices campaign to raise some funds there. Get the other two. So number one is going over the line this weekend. She's having her launch. And then number 2 and 3 have to come through. They're just a little bit further down the line with their manuscripts, but we'll get there. But it's to raise another round of funds and do another round of competition. Carrying on in encouraging positive growth and support within the book industry of SA. And then obviously wanting to be a bit more involved with SIA's community to, encourage people to keep writing, because I really believe that South Africans are so talented and we need to start claiming our stage a little bit more.
Yep.
And then on Shavonne Bulmer's side as the author, I'm wanting to run down all my stock in South Africa, that everything's gone. And I've decided that I'm going to take 3 years where I'm going to do a total rebrand.
Okay.
And so the covers aren't going to change, but I'm going to be pushing through all my books through Vellum, which is that software that I bought, which you've got wanted at the local book hive. The way that is formatted, that's what Vellum does. So I'd love to do that for my own books, which means the page numbers are going to change on the Tandem. So Eloise just has to help me with a slight change on the Tandem covers. But she's going to be becoming my full-time Greek myth cover design, because
Amazing.
so that everything looks together, same look and feel. I want to do a second edition of Secrets of the Shell, just because of where I am with my skill now versus where I was. It's not the same place. I'd like to do Sight of Stone again. There will be more Greek. I will always do Greek, and it will be whatever story comes to mind that I'm able to bring awareness to for whatever trauma I myself have experienced. But I am going to go for the multi-genre author title. So I'm going to be going Songs of a Queen is my high fantasy that I'll be doing a 3-book series under. Then I'm going to do a dark fantasy with pirates and sirens called The Tidal Covenant. And then I'm going to be doing a sci-fi where I explore how ancient knowledge gets lost over time, but weave it with conspiracy theory. Then
Ooh.
my pen name still is my pen name, and that will still be going. But I want one Regency romance series under Shavonne's name that actually links to my pen name, that the cupcakes that like that can then get lost in the other world.
Yes.
But I'm going to take time out from publishing, because I'd like to come back with a big bang where I can rapid release all of these together. And everything feels the same, and it's just to the level that I want my books at. So yeah, that is what I shall be doing.
That's exciting.
That's exciting, and it's a lot. Sure.
Yeah, but what I'm going to be doing is that during the 3 years, I will be like, via the newsletter, I will be saying, if you sign here, then you'll get a prequel to Songs of a Queen, or you'll get a prequel to the dark fantasy, so people can start feeling the taste. Because for my other genres, I really just I want to write from my healed self, where I'm just enjoying telling the story and world building and just getting lost in a fantasy.
Totally understand that one.
Yeah.
Just did it. It's the best feeling ever.
Isn't it? It's exhilarating.
It's so freeing. It's so freeing.
So I
So
can't wait.
you have a few questions here.
Yes.
Where are we?
Some of them have been answered.
Oh, okay.
So Raj asked, what's a genre you would like to challenge yourself with in the future? And then you mentioned a few genres there.
Yeah, I think the one that's going to challenge me the most is the sci-fi.
I knew it.
Just because I know I said I'd never want to do a tandem again.
Oh God, Shavonne.
And it's not really a tandem. But I'd love to
Keep telling
write
yourself that.
I want to write it with the concept of time dimension. So you know when you guys have you guys ever watched the series Fringe?
Yes. Loved
And-
Fringe.
And they had those two worlds running concurrently with one another, and something else is happening here, but it's affecting here. But that I want to somehow pull that off. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want to.
We'll figure it out as we go.
I'm going to do it, and then you guys are going to deal with me going, I'm so freaking sick of this time dimension. What was I doing?
What were you just saying to us a few weeks ago? Do not let me write a tandem again.
But it's not really a tandem. It's time dimension.
Keep telling yourself this. Just keep on telling yourself this, and you might start believing it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
'Cause I don't.
completely delulu.
So
Yeah.
if you had one piece of advice to give your readers, because we usually say for authors, right?
I think for readers, what I want to say is I don't want you to feel pressured by your TBR. And I don't want you to feel that there's a competition of how many books you need to read. And I don't want you to feel that you are pressured into having to read a certain set of books just because everyone is reading them. Nor do you have to like it if everyone else is liking them. Reading is so connected to your emotional and mental health. I think people completely underestimate the impact that reading has on your mental and emotional health. And sometimes, depending where your levels are at on those two specific topics, there are certain stories you just cannot absorb because you're not in the right space for it. And I think, you need to honor yourself for that. It's a way of self-love to yourself. And, it's not a competition. It's not a competition.
I think people as well, especially on social media, because I mean, I'm a slow reader. Always have been, always will be. That's just me. But I'm a mood reader. But when you're on social media, you will see people, I read 20 books this month and I look at my TBR, and just looking at it gives me anxiety. And I'm like, that is so much pressure.
100%.
Are you actually reading the books to enjoy them, or are you reading them to look at me, look what I did?
100%. And also, and how you review books. Like,
Yes.
I think that's something that people need to understand is that not everyone's going to like the same thing, and it's fine. Like, I mean, we don't all go to this ice cream shop and order all the same ice cream. There's a number of flavors,
Mhm.
and one day you'll walk in and you'll be like, I'm going to do the chocolate chip with nuts. And the next day, you're like, you know what, I'm going to do the strawberry and caramel. Like, same for reading.
Exactly.
Yeah. If only people would be mature enough to know that we can differ on things and still be friends.
Yeah. The only thing that I ask of readers is that when it comes to an author and you know the author, just be kind in your review. You can still say, I didn't like the book for whatever reason. Saying you don't like something isn't offensive.
Yeah.
No.
But when you become personally attacking towards something, then I kind of want to be like, well, how many books have you written, with all due respect?
Yeah. But it also makes it, I don't know about you, but if you look at how the book reviews are going because of social media, people are becoming keyboard warriors. So they are not thinking about, actually, there's a human on the end of that review that is going to read that and take it into their heart. And yes, I get that we put ourselves out there to the public, but it's also a two-way street. It's a dance, right?
Yeah, it's just it's like when I sort of guide for a review, it's like, what you're gonna put down. Would your mom be fine with you saying that at the dinner table? If it's a no, then I'm pretty sure you shouldn't be putting that down on a review, like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's I mean, I just to let other authors know, like, I specifically don't go and look at my reviews unless, like, when you guys say I've written something, I've given my review, I know it's going to be a kind review from you guys, so I will spend time reading those reviews. But others, I just don't do it because it can really mess with your mental health. Like,
Well, Kylie's just asked a nice question here. It's hard to do book reviews because of the pressure as well. What else can we do as readers to be more respectful in this? How do
sorry.
we know how do we know we're hitting the mark as readers? Michelle, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, well, first of all, Kylie, I think you nail it.
Yeah, she's phenomenal in her
I don't
review.
think I've ever seen a disrespectful review.
No.
Even when they're not like, even if it's like I didn't love this book review, you always do it respectfully.
Yeah. So a perfect example there, Sight of Stone. Look at her review for my Sight of Stone, which is a 2.5 star, I think it was. Still beautifully respectful, on point. Her experience as a reader, which is very valid. Then go look at the 1 star review from Rebel Fairy.
And
That
I think
that
sorry.
no, sorry. That is an example of a review that is ripping into an author.
I think for me, sorry, Angela, it's what, like, for me personally, if I had to get a negative review, if it is constructive, if there was genuinely issues with the book that made the reading experience unpleasant, as an author, I would want to know so that I can use it for the next book. But being able to say that with kindness, I don't think everyone is capable of doing that.
Well, I think that also comes down to being a keyboard warrior, isn't it, as well? Because they get a bit more braver as well with regards to writing some stuff. But then also on the flip side, for an author, authors getting reviews, they look at it has to be a 5 star or it has to be a 4 star. All reviews, whether it's 1 star, 2, 3, 4, 5, put it as 100% as your 5 star. Then it's 75%, 50%, 20%. As long as it is a structured, led with kindness, whatever, that should be what matters. Because a 1 star review could still be as good as a 5 star review if it is worded the right way.
Yeah. And the thing is, funny, statistically speaking, if you look at the stats of conversions of reviews to sales, your 3-star ratings actually have the highest conversion in sales.
Yes.
And I think also what readers find difficult is that not only are they worried, I must say that the South African community is very conscious on how they say their reviews for the author's sake. That's still a fair reflection to the readers of the experience of the reader. But not only does a reader have that pressure, but they also have the other pressure of readers where they're like, oh my gosh, but it was a 5-star for me. How could you have it as a 1 star or a 2-star or whatever? So, I think reviewing is incredibly difficult. But like as you ladies said, that if it's constructive and it's a fair and honest representation of how you've experienced the book as a reader and it's led with kindness, I don't think you can go wrong.
I totally agree. I would rather have someone just being purely honest with me than giving me a 5 star, which actually they didn't really mean.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%. Like,
rather be truthful.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know. So Vengeance, that is a very interesting book in the types of reviews that I receive. And the lower rating ones tend to be because of the lack of dialogue that's not there, which is a decision that I made as an author not to put it in there for whatever reason. But and then the higher ones, the readers sort of caught on what I was doing and they loved how thick the plot was. and the pace of it. But, you know, reading those reviews, there's a balance that you tend to, like A Side of Stone, I did the memory loop way too much. It was too much memory loop. So in rewriting that, I want to do less memory loop. And that's something that's consistently come through on the reviews. And I wouldn't know that, because to me, I'd like to be able to allow someone to feel seen who has experienced whatever I'm writing about. But I also want the person who hasn't experienced it to still enjoy the story.
Mm.
And I won't know where that balance is unless the readers say to me, you know what, you really lost me here. It was just too much. Then I go, okay, too much. Let's pull back.
Exactly. And I think that's it. It's about communication. It's all about communication. No matter what we do in this life, it's all about communication. But I also think that what authors like yourself are doing within the South African platform, leading with kindness, creating this amazing Mzansi cupcakes and all of this, and raising awareness, is actually helping us stand out a lot more within the world, especially with all the nonsense that's going on. We're kind of bringing a much more kinder space, hopefully.
100%. 100%. And that's something that Mario said last night. Before we started the interview, him and I were chatting. And one of the things that he said is that he's definitely seen that the book industry in South Africa has really taken on with how they can respectfully interact with one another, which is amazing, which is awesome. And it's something that we could teach the rest of the world. And the conversation then went further, where it was like, it would be really cool if South Africa could be the leading front of how we're dealing with AI and how it's coming into the industry. And you know, he very much believes as well that it's all about disclosure. If we can skip the whole witch hunt thing, because essentially if you make a witch hunt, it makes people feel like they need to lie about using it. And then in lying, obviously they don't disclose, and then authors don't get the choice, like what happened to me. And if we can just skip all of that and make the space in such a way that we're like, okay, you do you, just, you know, respect me.
Yeah.
You know, I think we're gonna be in a far more respective space. And at the end of the day, how I see the industry moving is that, you know, underneath the copyright page, I kind of see it like at the back of a wine label, for example, for something to be served or sold as a Cabernet Sauvignon, for example, 80% of it has to be a Cab Sav. It can be 10% Merlot, then 10% Cab Franc. As long as 80% is Cab Sav, then you can say Cab Sav. And I can kind of see us starting to put like a mixture at the bottom of the copyright to say, author 100% human, editing AI assisted, cover human designer.
I think most of us are doing that already, though, right? Because I know that I put my graphic designer in there, the person who does any formatting or editing. I list them in my stuff.
Yeah, but for it to be more industry standard, that actually becomes part of your first page.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, it's also up to the reader then. It's disclosure should be there for the reader too, for them to decide, are they going to pick up a book that has any form of AI in it, or 100% human, or doesn't it bother them at all and they don't mind if it's 100% AI? But then it also comes into the pricing of books, because if something is 100% AI, to price it at the same price as something that's 100% human isn't exactly fair either. So I think we're going to the industry will start moving that way, where there's these very clear lanes of where books and authors fall. And it's actually healthy. It's actually healthy that happens.
Definitely. It's definitely healthy. But the conversations need to keep on going. And as we say, there has to stop this witch hunt, and because it's getting a bit out of hand in the world of this witch hunt stuff going on. Each to their own. You've got a choice. Everyone has a choice on how they want to live their lives, do their lives, whatever. And well, us three, we are all very much we are human voices, human
100%.
words. That is what we're about. You
Human
know, and
human skills, the new luxury.
yes. And you know what? I'd rather be a little piece of the niche that just stays as human than be part of the big craziness that's coming in with AI.
100%. 100%.
That's,
But I
yeah.
think, you know, it just helps protect that space a little bit more when there's room for disclosure and then respecting the disclosure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lovely, lovely Friday evening.
Yeah.
Pre-birthday as well. I mean, Sam.
Yeah.
But we're so thankful that you wanted to do this with us this evening, because we know what it's like. A lot of us, we might not be able to get to see you on in-person book launches, or people can't afford to do it, or, you know, all the things that happen in life.
Yeah.
So to be able to give this option, I think, is really helpful. And plus, I think you're more relaxed.
Yeah, I've been loving it. I was actually looking forward to it the whole day. I was like, yeah, we're gonna have online for lunch. Yeah, fun.
Exactly. It's just more, it's like a bunch of friends coming around a table and just having a chat.
Yeah, we're
And
just
that's the way
missing
it
that
should
one
be.
friend that's like this, you know, like
I'm sure there is, but they're hiding behind the no camera on.
That particular clip is going onto one of the preview clips on
Shavonne's
It
not
is.
stole.
It is indeed.
Called Nostrello.
Yes.
Well, I hope you have a beautiful birthday. Is there anything you're doing on your birthday in particular?
We are going to go for a breakfast at a place called Pajamas and Jam here, which is a very interesting little cafe / bistro. It's a place that's stuck in time. So it's like old
wow.
chairs and old anything and everything. And nothing matches in the restaurant, but it's just so beautiful and homey. The most amazing food. And then my mom and my dad and my brother and future sister-in-law are going to come over for a braai later on in the day. So yeah, just enjoying being me with my family and people that I love tomorrow. Yeah,
That's lovely. That sounds like a perfect birthday.
yeah, and I think I had my crazy days.
I think been there, done it. Yeah. Now I just want calm.
Yeah, I had a few ones where my liver the next day was like, "What did you do to me?"
Yes, exactly. But thank you for this evening.
Thank you,
for
ladies.
Michelle for taking the lead.
Yeah. Thank you to you ladies for just being who you are and just being so supportive and being there for me when I need you, and for building the community for indie authors in South Africa, that they feel less alone. And and for everyone that's logged on, thank you for giving me the time to listen, and for supporting me and reading my books and leaving reviews and throwing me messages of things that you like and didn't like in my
We
story.
have a face. We have a face.
We do? Where? Who?
Where, who?
Thank
Nice
you
to
so
see you not on
much.
social media.
Yes.
Yeah. She's got some interesting reads coming up. Hey?
Really?
Katie? You've got some interesting ones. You've got Sky Void, which is a beta read. And what other ones do you have? I saw a post the other day, and I was like, sure, there's some interesting reads that she's got up.
Sorry, is the mic working?
Yes, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, yes. No, I've got some really interesting reads at the moment, and yeah, they're fun. Your tandem was also great, so yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, for you to say a book is great, it's like a huge accomplishment.
I know. I remember when she was reading Michelle's like, she's reading my book. I'm like, rather you than me.
No, it's just I love her work as well, and the most recent one. I'm looking forward to that launch. I think it's on Sunday.
Yes.
Yes.
No, it's on Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to go with the full moon. which is on Monday.
Okay, yay!
All in sync.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
She'll be at the end of the questions this time.
Yes.
Right. I'm not as good at it as Shavonne is, I'm afraid, but I'll try.
No, you are. You've come so far. If you look at your previous videos versus now, like you've come so much out of your shell.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
I'm usually okay if Angela's there because she fills in the the awkward silences.
Because I just talk. But then when it comes to me like reading questions and stuff, I suck. Because I start to like stutter over my. That's why I don't do reading online. Because of it.
You guys are a good balance. You guys
Exactly. Yeah.
like
I'm the
really,
fire,
really good
she's my calm.
I'm just the chaos, but yes.
You're definitely not chaos.
No. Well, if you are, it's in a good way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so
been
much, everyone.
Wonderful. It will be loaded up to YouTube tomorrow.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll send out the link for everybody who hasn't watched.
Cool.
Awesome.
Have a
Thanks.
good evening. Enjoy your birthday tomorrow. May it
Thank
bring you
you.
lots of happiness.
Thank you. And have a lovely evening, guys. And thank you for just giving me your time and your love
Always.
and emotions and all of that.
Thanks,
Thank you for a
guys.
lovely launch.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.